Before we solve this problem, let's just take a moment to unpack some of the terminology. First off, a right circular cylinder, that just means cylinder. Further, surface area, that's like the skin of your shape. That's the portion of your shape that touches air. Now, one thing that every student should know cold going into his or her exam is to know the formula for the surface area of a cylinder. And that formula is 2 pi r times h, where h represents the height of your shape, plus 2 times pi r squared. That is your formula for the surface area of a cylinder. Now, it's not just good enough, though, to know the formula. You want to understand how the formula breaks down. One thing you may recall, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So why does this formula have 2 times pi r squared in it? Because a cylinder has a top and a bottom, right? Which means the other portion of the formula, the 2 pi r times h, that represents the wrap of the cylinder. That's the portion of the cylinder that connects the top to the bottom. Now here, we know we want the surface area, but they tell us that the cylinder is open at both ends. In other words, to solve this problem, we don't need to use the 2 times pi r squared portion of this formula because there's no top and no bottom. We only need to use the portion of the formula that represents the wrap. Now the height is 20 centimeters. The diameter is 8 centimeters. We know diameter is twice the radius, so we should know that the radius of this cylinder is 4 centimeters. And with this information, we can now solve the problem by plugging it into the formula. And when we do, remember, radius is 4, height is 20. We're going to get 2 pi times 4 times 20. In terms of the arithmetic, 4 times 20 is 80, and 80 times 2 is 160. In other words, we have an answer of 160 pi. Now, of course, here we want to get the approximate surface area. And really, at this stage, there's 2 things we can do. We know pi is really 3.14 and change. For me, I always just think of pi as 3.1. And we can take this information and plug it into a calculator, or if you have solid arithmetic skills, we can do it by hand. Let's do it by hand here. Look, 160 times 3.1. Let's just focus on the 160 times the 3. We know 160 is 100 plus 60, right? So when we triple that, we get 3 times 100, which is 300, and 3 times 60, which is 180. So the 3 times 160, that is 480. Now, of course, we're really multiplying by 3.1, so let's take care of that 0.1 part. 0.1 of something is 10% of something, and the way you get 10% of a value is you shift its decimal spot 1 space to the left. So to get 10% of 160, I'm going to slide the decimal 1 space to the left, giving us 16. In other words, it's going to be 480 plus 16, which is 496. And as you can see, that's closest to 500. And there you go. That's the reason here that 500 is the correct answer.